everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video are 4 of my favorite hearty meals for this winter. It's very cold where I live. Unfortunately, we haven't got any snow this year, but it's super cold. And my husband works outdoors, my sister works all day, and I like them to come home to something that will really fill them up, very heavy and hearty. Wintertime is my favorite time of year to cook because spring, summer, it's starting to get warm. It is hot all summer. No one wants their stove and their oven on. It's just too hot. So you eat a lot of hot dogs and cold sandwiches, or at least we do. So the wintertime, I really can experiment with different meals, different stews and soups and stuff like that. So it's really enjoyable to cook for me in the wintertime. I feel like over the last 15 years of my marriage, like the first 5 years, I did a lot of frozen foods. We didn't have a lot of money when we first got married, so we just ate what we could. But over the last decade, I think I've gotten a lot better at cooking, or at least we, my family loves the meals. So I just wanted to share these 4 delicious, hearty winter meals with you. So if you're interested in seeing, keep on watching. Again, cooking is just something I really love. I love that it's subjective and you can do anything you want. It's always to someone else's preference or to your own preference. So any of these meals can be kind of like jazzed up or jazzed down to your own personal taste. So don't take any, don't worry about anything that you want to change, because I'm sure it would still be delicious. You can add or take away. And if you do, also let me know. I would love to know anything you would put differently in any of these meals, so maybe I can try them next time. So if you're interested in seeing my meal ideas, keep watching. Hi you guys, tonight I am making chili for dinner. It's very simple. I don't do anything crazy. I literally love this Tempo chili mix. I always pick up 2 or 3 when I'm at the store because they're really hard to find. They're like 99 cents and I really do love them. It's delicious. Then I did a big can. We like a lot of beans in our chili. This is a 40-ounce can of kidney beans, the light red. Then I always pick up one of these from Aldi's. They're just Boys! Gillian Butters! I always pick these up from Aldi's. They're the chili mild beans. They have just like a little bit of a chili sauce with them. I drain and rinse these. I don't drain and rinse these. And then I just have another can of light red beans. This is what I had on hand. Super simple. And then of course I do ground beef. You could do ground turkey if you wanted to. Again, I highly recommend this Tempo chili mix. It's really good. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is brown my ground beef. I have about 1 pound here. In the beginning of the month, I try to buy about 5 pounds of it, and then I just do it individual bags, 1 pound in each bag, and that's for 5 different meals, obviously. I am going to try to weed out red meat in my diet some, because it just doesn't make me feel good. I do add an onion. I forgot to say that. It's just not making me feel great, and I'm going to try to do maybe more chicken, turkey, or maybe try to cut meat out completely. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I mean, of course I could if I had to, but I'm going to try to do less red meat. So here I am just browning my meat till it is fully cooked, and then I'm going to start adding my beans and the rest of my ingredients. Now that my meat's fully cooked, I am going to add the chili beans that have the sauce with it. I add everything from this can, and I'd use a little bit of water to make sure I get all that good seasoning and taste from it. These have a really nice taste to them, and here I drained and rinsed my kidney beans. I do not leave them in their juice, and I add them to my pot. We like a lot of beans, like I said, so you can add as much or as less as you want. I also added corn the second day. We had a little leftover corn from my cornbread, and I did like the crunch that the corn gave it and a little bit of sweetness, so maybe next time I'll cook the corn in it. So here I am just adding all my beans, a little bit of water. We like our chili really thick, so I might add a little bit of water here and there as it's cooking, because it does get thicker and thicker as it cooks, but that's totally up to your preference. And here I am chopping up an onion. I chop it up pretty big. We like onion, so it doesn't really matter to us, but again, you can cut it however you feel fit for your family. Here I am adding 2 of these chili mixes. I'm sure they're not the best for me. I do hope to find seasonings that I like in my chili here in the future, but for now, it's just cutting a corner that's inexpensive and makes my life a little easier. However, I do not add any extra salt ever to this. It is way too much sodium. I do not need extra salt. I do onion powder and garlic powder and black pepper, but no extra salt. So here I am just adding some water, and we again like our chili super thick, and I cooked this for about 4 to 6 hours. I did try it in the crock pot. I don't know if I did something wrong, but I didn't love it. It was like a little flavorless in the crock pot, but on the stove top for 4 to 6 hours is absolutely perfect. Again, no extra salt, and I added some onion. Now I cook some pasta on the side for my chili, and we eat it as like a chili mac. Here it is after about 6 hours. That way it stretches the meal. We serve it over pasta with cornbread, and I added corn to this and it made it really moist and delicious. It's just a box Jif cornbread, and like I said, I serve it over pasta to kind of stretch the meal, and we'll get 2 or 3 days out of this chili. Okay, now on to the second meal, which was sausage, peppers, and onion in the crock pot. This was so fantastic. It cooked for so many hours. I put it in at 11:30. We ate around 6 o'clock. It cooked the entire time. It was so delicious, and I just served these over rolls, a little Italian rolls. I'm sorry, at the end I forgot to get a shot of it completely cooked, but it did cook for quite a few hours in the crock pot on high, and then the last 3 hours I put it on low, and then right before we ate it I just put it to warm, and I just served these on little Italian rolls with a little bit of provolone cheese, and it was absolutely delicious. I highly recommend those crock pots. I don't know what took me so long to get one. I get these peppers from Aldi's. They come in a bag of 3. Usually they're just the green peppers, but you could use any color peppers you want. I personally go to Aldi's for my produce a lot of the times because with a family of 4 and being on a budget for our food, I like to get my produce where it's a little less expensive. And I don't mind what color peppers. So here I am just cutting them. I'm going to rinse the seeds off, and you can cut them any shape, size you'd like. I kept them pretty bite-sized and pretty decent size. I do cut them a little smaller, rinse them real good, and I add these on top of the sausages. So I'm just adding the hot Italian sausage to the bottom. I am going to try chicken sausage next time. I want to try, like I said, to weed out any red meats. So I'm going to try chicken sausage next time and see if we like it. But here I am just adding it to the bottom. I'm going to add all the veggies on top. I added about 2 jars of pasta sauce. And again, I cooked this for like 7 hours and it was totally delicious. This is something that's going to become a staple in our meal. I mean, I've always cooked sausage and peppers and onions, but usually I cook them in like a big pot. This was just fabulous, and I didn't have to check them once. Nothing burned, nothing stick. It was perfect. Here I am just cutting up a white onion because we like the sweetness of the onion. Again, any size you like. I kept them pretty big, and I served these over, I believe I said, I already told you, but I did serve these over little tiny Italian rolls. And you could do this with pasta, angel hair, anything you want. We just wanted sandwiches this night, and this was a delicious meal. Now I did add jar sauce. I would absolutely love to make my own homemade sauce, and I hope maybe this year I can get a recipe that we really enjoy. But for now, again, ladies, we got to cut corners where we can, and this is just makes my life a little easier. But again, like I said, I'm going to try to cook a little bit better in the new year, and I would love to learn how to make homemade pasta sauces. Okay, so this next meal is something that you could even really do in the summertime, but it's definitely delicious in the wintertime. And it's just a garlic, onion, olive oil pasta. Now, in the summertime, I like to add zucchini when it's like fresh and it's at the season of zucchini or squash. You could add really tomatoes, you could add corn, any veggie that you like. That's all I can think of at the top of my head, but any kind of veggie would be delicious with this. But all I had was some onion and garlic, and I thought this is an easy, quick meal. So I'm cutting, and you could use any pasta you want. I just happen to have like little spiral pastas. You can cut your onion at any size you like. We love onions, so I like to cut mine a little bit bigger, and this was like a sweet white onion. And when you saute this with some olive oil and garlic, they just become so sweet and delicious. So here I am with my pot. I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. You could add as much or as little as you like. And I ended up adding a little tiny bit of butter, maybe a tablespoon. I don't know why I added the butter. I usually don't. I must have just did because I didn't have any veggies this night. That doesn't even really make sense, but I guess I just wanted to add the butter. So once my pans got nice and warm and everything kind of warmed up, I add my, you could add onion and garlic powder too. I add my onion and salt and pepper. I don't like to caramelize my onion. I just like to make it translucent. And it just is delicious that way. And I don't add my garlic till like the very end because I've burnt my garlic before and I learned the hard way. So I just add it at the very end just to become fragrant, and it just makes it better that way. If I did have zucchini, I would add basil. It just give it this lemony, delicious taste. But you could add basil even with just the onion and garlic. But I was just showing you that's an option to add some basil to this. And it's really delicious that way. So I ended up sauteing my onions for about 10 minutes and they were completely translucent and soft and perfect. Here I am adding that garlic. Now I could do fresh garlic, but again, you got to cut corners somewhere and it's just made in water. I wish I hadn't added anywhere near as much garlic as I did. My husband loved it, but he's a huge garlic eater. I usually like it, but I think it was just a little too much, so I would only do about half. But again, that's up to your taste and preference. And I just added some black pepper. I did salt the onions just a little bit. You can always salt it at the end. I try to leave salt out and just let everyone salt their plate as they prefer it. And then I just toss the pasta in and serve. I add a little Parmesan cheese on top, and it's really delicious. This is even good the next day after all the flavors kind of sat and married. And this is an amazing meal for winter or summer, and I really recommend this. Last but certainly not least is my version of chicken noodle soup. I don't know why I didn't have two of the chicken broths out, but I usually do 2 quarts of the chicken broth, and this is the fat-free one. This is really good. This is from Aldi's, and it's pretty inexpensive. And then I do 2 of the Goya packs of the chicken bouillon flavor. I really love the flavor this gives it. You could do less if you would like or more. I just don't add extra salt to mine because this is very high in sodium. And then I do some baby carrots. I cut these up because that's what I had on hand. I believe that was a sweet Vidalia onion, and I did a couple stalks of celery. So here I am just cutting the bottoms off my celery because for whatever reason they weren't very nice. I just slice them down the middle and I slice these really, really thin. I don't love the taste of celery, but I like well, I just don't like celery raw. I don't mind it cooked. I like the flavor it gives my soups and stews. Next, I'm cutting up my baby carrots to bite size. Now, in the past, I've left them whole when I didn't have time to slice them, but this day I just happen to have time to cut them up in bite size. I definitely prefer them in bite size, but if you are in a jam, you could just toss these in because they're not really that big, and you definitely could just eat them on a spoon that size. But today I decided to cut them up a little smaller. And here I'm cutting my onion. This was all pretty self-explanatory. I'm just getting all my veggies prepped. You could saute these if you wanted in a little olive oil, but I just didn't have time this day, so I just cut all my veggies bite-sized and plopped them in my big soup pot and called it good. But if you really wanted to give it a little extra flavor, you could saute this in a little bit of olive oil. But I didn't this time. I have in the past, and it's very delicious, but today I just put them all in a pot to cook. Okay, so I'm gonna add two pretty decent sized chicken breasts. If you were doing a larger family meal, you could definitely put four. Two is plenty for my family of four. Besides, chicken is very expensive in my area right now, but these two chicken breasts were so big they were plenty for us. Here I am adding my first quart of chicken broth. I add a little bit of water, and then later in the afternoon I added a little extra chicken broth because for whatever reason the broth kind of cooked down and it gave it a little extra flavor after I added the extra broth. Now I'm adding my 2 packs of Goya. Again, I do not add any extra salt with this. These are plenty salty. And you can always add salt at the end when you taste it. And I did a little bit of black pepper and I believe dried parsley. I do wish I had fresh parsley. It doesn't really give it a taste in my opinion. It's just more for color and it makes it a little more homemade looking. I love the way the parsley looks in this. And this was cooking after, this was about 4 to 5 hours and it looked delicious. I shredded up all the chicken. It was so tender and good. Now, a little pro tip for myself and for anybody who didn't know this, I always cook my egg noodles on the side. If I cook them in the pasta, I notice that they get mushy. The next day when I reheat it, I just toss the egg noodles in. But I always cook my egg noodles on the side and I store them on the side. That way they don't get mushy and absorb all that liquid. I'm adding a little extra parsley again because I just like the way it looks and I think it makes it look even more homemade. Now, a funny thing is, my next door neighbor owns a bakery. He has a little bakery next door to me. He knocked on my door on Halloween and offered me a couple loaves of extra bread they had, and I thought it was going to be one or two, but it was like 20 of those big ones and 11 of the little ones. So I froze a lot of them and I gave them to friends and family. I just reheated it in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. It heated up perfectly. It was delicious and it went so well with the soup. It was just like this rustic white loaf and a little bit of a ciabatta roll, and I just cut them up and served them with a little bit of butter. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some ideas. If you have any suggestions for me, feel free to leave it down below. I hope you take a second to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy as much as I do these warm, hearty meals for the winter time.